Hello to everyone. Been a hot minute since I've done a longer video, or a shorter video for that matter. I was on a little over 2-week girls trip with my mother, who is 79. And as much as I tried to get into spaces where I could do like my scripture readings and my videos, I wrote a couple things, but the chaos in the places that we went was just too crazy. We drove to Utah, and she had never experienced the national parks down there and the grandeur, and we did some little short hikes with her and stuff like that. But I thought, oh, I'll pick a spot outside. It'll be beautiful. Yeah, between the people and the wind, there was no space to do that. So I had to content myself with just writing some things and then waiting to share them with everybody when I got back. So I'm home, back to cold, humid Minnesota. Utah was mid 80s. Well, not every day. It was colder some days, but it's always dry. There's no humidity in the air, which I really do love. So not moving to Utah though. That's too hot in the summer. But anyways, on my trip, and I've actually been reading this book for a while. It's kind of a lot to digest. I've been reading a book called The Pursuit of God by A.W. Tozer. And I don't always choose to read things that are that hard to digest. It's a lot. It's really deep. And I appreciate that. But I have to sometimes reread portions of it and muddle through it and just kind of think through. It's not like it's hard to understand. It's challenging, and that's good. Because a lot of times what we feed ourselves is just the surface stuff that really doesn't make us think. So this book, it's may cause me to think a little bit, but in chapter 5, it was a chapter called The Universal Presence. And this sounds like a really childish, easy concept to understand, and in some ways it is. It's like the core of Christianity, like God is with you all the time, right? We always hear that. And you probably heard that in Sunday school. Maybe you had your parents read you Bible stories, or that's just been kind of a part of your life that your the people who were surrounded you kind of instilled you with that knowledge that God is everywhere. But what struck me, and this is a little bit different, God is everywhere, but the fact that I can't get away from him. At no point is God ever further from me than any other point. So if I moved, he's still the same distance that he always was. And I think that you probably have heard people say that they walked away from God, or the opposite, I'm moving closer to God, and they feel really good about that. But you can't walk away from God. He's still stuck there. He's still there. If this room is filled with God's presence, just like oxygen is, I can walk anywhere in it, and he's still the same distance as he was. So that was really kind of an interesting concept for me to kind of muddle my head around. So what changes with us is not God, it's our awareness of him. So when you walked away from God, your insight, your awareness, your receptivity, whatever you want to call it, changed. He didn't change. Your thought process changed. Maybe you got distracted or angry or proud. Maybe you felt let down by something that happened in your life, and you felt like God didn't come to bat for you when he should have. Maybe you grieved over something that you felt was unfair. Maybe you just wanted to run a little crazy for a little bit. That happens too. And you think you've moved away from God, but that's not the case. You can't. So David in the Psalms wrote about this. It's Psalms 139, 7 through 12. Where can I go from your spirit? Where can I flee from your presence? If I go to the heavens, you are there. If I make my bed in the depths, you are there. If I rise on the wings of the dawn, and if I settle on the far side of the sea, even your hand will guide me, your right hand will hold me fast. If I say, surely the darkness will hide me, and light becomes night around me, even the darkness will not be dark to you. The night will shine like day, and the darkness is as light to you. God doesn't move. We do. Tozer wrote in the book, The presence and the manifestation of the presence are not the same. There can be one without the other. God is there when we are wholly unaware of it. He is manifest, or we realize he's there, only when and as we are aware of his presence. So he never goes anywhere. Our awareness just shifts. Our part is to surrender, and only then can we see, hear, and feel the presence of God. If I want to feel near to God, I have to turn up my perception. I have to plug into the force, if you want to use a modern jargon. God is here. His presence is here. It never went away. We have to learn how to experience it, to come to know him in a more real way. I think my best analogy of this is probably like marriage. I can tell you when I married my husband, I thought I knew him pretty well. Maybe yes, maybe no. Over the past 10 years, I can tell you I know him a whole lot better. I'm aware of his body language. He's very good at reading me. All these things were not as tuned in 10 years ago when I married him. So we now know how to create space for each other when we need to. We've had good boundaries. They've become more pronounced. This has actually made our relationship better. My experience in this relationship is much, much deeper. It's much different. And that is because my awareness has been tuned up. So I guess we have to learn things about each other. And have that create kind of a different culture or a different dynamic. There's another thing that I love about God. We never have to shout because God can always hear us. We don't need to shout to have him hear us. Zephaniah 3:17, the Lord is your God, is in your midst, a mighty one who will save. He will rejoice over you with gladness. He will quiet you by his love. He will exult over you with loud singing. Jeremiah 23:23 and 24. Am I a God at hand, declares the Lord, and not a God far away? Can a man hide himself in secret places so that I cannot see him, declares the Lord? Do I not fill the heaven and earth, declares the Lord? Hebrews 4:13. Nothing in all creation is hidden from God's sight. Everything is uncovered and laid bare before the eyes of him to whom we must give an account. I like how Tozer identifies us as the problem. Our spiritual receptivity has to be different if we want to experience God in a deep way. If we long to experience the God of creation each day, we have to do something about it. Revelations 3:20 says, "Here I am. I stand at the door and knock. If anyone hears my voice and opens the door, I will come in and eat with that person and they with me." We have to open the door to our minds, to our hearts, to our bodies, to our emotions. This seems pretty all-inclusive, right? Our experience with God will be based on our spiritual receptivity. I think I noticed a change in my mind when I started talking to God more on a daily basis. If I was mopping the floor, I was just having a conversation with him. I probably looked like a lunatic. As I've been driving in the car more and more, I will turn on worship music. I will just start using my time to spend more of it focused on him and maybe what his plan is for me. I think that as I started to sing more, because that's my kind of one of my languages, talk about a mood booster. Like, I became a much more joyful person. I work to build a pause in tough situations. That's really hard, especially when you want to just react. To pray and seek God first before responding. This grew my patience, my empathy for other people and their struggles grew. Not that I didn't see that they probably caused maybe some of their problems, but I could be empathetic for how they were feeling in that moment. I would ask God to give me his heart in situations, and so that I could start seeing it from angles that I would never have taken before. When I prayed through things, I made less mistakes, burned less bridges. It was all in all a good thing. What if God is constantly trying to get your attention? Like if he's filling this room, would he be trying to get my attention? What if he's standing right next to you right now? Well, he is. But you have to become more receptive or perceptive of him. If you're so wrapped up in your daily grind that all you give him is a few minutes a day, maybe in a morning prayer, a little bit of devotion or Bible study, maybe a conversation with a friend or something like that, but then you fly on with your day and you really never stop and have that connection that your soul is crying out for. And some days get like that. I'm understanding of those things. But if we're constantly in that mode, our soul is always starving. So spiritual perception is where it's at. Learning to perceive in a deep way. It very sounds like, use the force, Luke. Wrong force, right concept. God is our ever-present force. He permeates everything. Our radar just has to be turned up. Psalms 19, 1-6. The heavens declare the glory of God. The skies proclaim the work of his hands. Day after day they pour forth speech. The heavens speak. Night after night they reveal knowledge. They have no speech, they use no words, no sound is heard from them, yet their voice goes out into all the earth. Their words to the ends of the world. In the heavens, God is pitching a tent for the sun. It is like a bridegroom coming out of his chamber, like a champion rejoicing after his course. It rises at one end of the heavens and makes its circuit to the other. Nothing is deprived of its warmth. He's everywhere. He never went away, and we don't have to shout to get his attention. So nothing is deprived from God's presence. And God wants to manifest himself to you. You just got to become more aware. Have a great day.